Hi everyone, Vince with Boomer Electronics here. Hope you're all doing well. Before I get into this video, I just want to say one of my cats died recently, about 3 weeks ago. Had to put her down. She got cancer and it got really bad really quickly. I'm going to be posting a picture, the last good picture I took of her, which was 6 days before I had to put her down. And I just wanted to take a moment in remembrance of Kitty. She was a really good cat and I'll miss her. So anyhow, for today's video, we have a Sega Game Gear I purchased off of eBay. And I've already recapped it. Pretty much have to do this with most of these for obvious reasons if you know anything about Game Gears. So I have a known working power supply here. Gonna plug it in and show you what it's doing after the recap. So let's do that. Okay, yeah, and just throw on a test game, known working game. So as you might be able to hear, kind of makes some humming noise, but doesn't really do much else. If you flicker the button on and off real quick, you'll see the power light coming on and off. Before I recap this, I believe the only thing it was doing was having the power light come on and then off somewhat quickly. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of figure out what's going on with this. I believe the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and swap out the power supply with a known good one. So I'll pause the video and be back when I swap that out. Before I proceed, I did want to mention that I do have a recap service available on my eBay page and my website if you are interested in getting your Game Gear recapped. So if you are interested, go check out those links in the description and the pinned comment and get that taken care of for you. So I have replaced the power supply with a known working one. Got the game in here. Plug in the known working power supply and check it out. Same thing. So it isn't the power board. I already know doing some little bit of testing off camera that's also not related to the soundboard. Has the same behavior without the soundboard plugged in, minus the buzzing because there's no speaker plugged in, obviously. So I'm going to have to poke around here a little bit and kind of figure out what's going on. So I'll be back when I have an update. So the first thing I did was check out the Retro 6 wiki here on Game Gears. It's a very good resource if you're troubleshooting Game Gears, and I would highly recommend it. I'll have a link to it in the description if you're interested. So going through here, they have a section on how red light boot works, and we're not getting red light boot, so this is of importance to me. And in this photo, they kind of show some different voltages and resistances you should be seeing. So with that in mind, let's check out that part of the board that they're showcasing here. Okay, so I went to that area of the board and notice the resistance and voltage readings I'm getting aren't quite right. And I've also noticed there is some corrosion here in this area. So the wiki is telling you to check resistances and voltages to start on this resistor R28. And as you may be able to see, there is a corrosion on that resistor and on this transistor. So I think the first step is going to be for me to clean this up and then come back to it and see what we're dealing with then. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Off camera, I was checking out this area a bit because while I was recapping it, there was quite a bit of corrosion in this area that I had to address. You can kind of see some of the solder mask I have over here. Anyhow, while I was kind of lifting this capacitor up to check it out, the leg came up here, the ground leg for the capacitor. If this will just focus a bit. Come on, focus. There we go. Yeah, so that ripped off. So I'm not 100% sure if that was making a good connection or not. So plan of attack is fix that issue first, check it out, see if it's working, see if that was the problem. And regardless of if that was a problem or not, I'm going to clear up the corrosion around this area. So yeah, that's the plan for tomorrow when I'm at my soldering station. Okay, we are reassembled enough for testing. I decided to just do everything I needed to do all at once to make things a bit easier for me. And yeah, as you may have seen in the video, there was a lot of corrosion on the pads under that transistor. I actually didn't mean to remove it from the board, it just kind of came off because it doesn't seem like it was really soldered to the board. Anyhow, enough talk, let's see what happens here. Got a game in. Huh. I did get that red light at the beginning, but I've noticed that'll happen if it's just been unplugged for a while. So it looks like it's doing the same exact thing still. So it's still got another issue somewhere here. Well, I'm going to have to take it apart again and get back to the drawing board. So I had this plugged in, I was testing voltages and comparing them to what was in that Retro 6 wiki. While doing that, I smelled the distinct smell of burning electronics and saw a little poof of smoke coming from somewhere over here. Doing a small amount of digging, it turns out that it was this transformer that is smoking. So this transformer is for the backlight circuit. Luckily, I have another Game Gear here that I actually got from the same seller that has a cracked screen. So this is not going to need the transformer that is inside of it. If you replace the screen, you don't need that transformer. That transformer is only used for the original screen, not any of these new aftermarket ones. So plan of attack is to remove this transformer, verify that it will boot up then, at least have the red light stay on, which it has not done so far. And if that is the case, then I will go ahead and replace that transformer. Also, one of the backlight fuses is blown as well. Looks like it's that one. I think this one should be good. Yeah, so that one's good. And it kind of makes sense. It probably blew because this transformer was going bad, overloaded it. So that's the plan of attack. Remove this. I'm just going to do that off camera. Make sure it'll boot up and stay booted. Then we'll replace that with the one from the Game Gear with the bad screen and replace the fuse as well. I got that transformer removed, and I noticed after I removed it there was actually quite a bit of corrosion under here. I scraped away a lot of it, but as you can see, like that pad right there, the gold plating's actually worn off. I'm gonna have to coat that with some solder before I put a new transformer in there. So anyhow, let's test this out now. Let's see if the red light will stay on at least. That might have been the original issue with it too. There might have just been too much resistance introduced to the circuit because of that corrosion. Well, the red light stays on. Is the game playing? I don't hear any audio. We're obviously not going to see anything on the screen without the backlight. Does look like it's staying on though. Did I plug in the speaker? Thought I did. Yeah, speaker's plugged in. Oh, let me see if I see anything on the screen with the flashlight, which I have right here. Not seeing anything. But it does look like we made some progress. The power light does indeed stay on now. So, yeah. Huh, interesting. Well, I'll do some more testing off camera and kind of figure out where we stand. Off camera, I got the backlight circuit back in place here, just to make it a little easier to troubleshoot. So yeah, let's turn it on and see what it's doing now. Should have the backlight now. Let's use this. That's not good. Interesting. So backlight flashed on and off. I could say this is like a variation of the original symptom. I will also mention off camera too, I turned it on after I put that transformer in to the circuit without the backlight connected, and it did turn on and stayed on. Huh. Interesting. Well, let me take it apart and check further. Now, I'm kind of at the point where I'm just ready to call this one a parts Game Gear. I mean, even without the backlight circuit attached, I'm not seeing any signs of life. This thing still looks like it has multiple issues wrong with it. I don't think it's worth putting any more time into this. However, this one does look like it works more or less, or will work once I get it recapped in the new screen. What I'm thinking I'm going to do is actually just try to screen swap here. I've never actually screen swapped Game Gear screens for somewhat obvious reasons. They're kind of annoying to do that with, but I think this will be good practice for that. So I'm going to screen swap this, get all the backlight circuitry over to here, and see what happens. Okay, got that screen swapped over to the somewhat working motherboard. Off camera, I also put the backlight circuitry back in there, and I recapped the motherboard because I need it recapped anyways. So let's see what happens. We'll see. Well, getting something on the screen. Ooh. That doesn't look good. It could also... cat's in the way. Could just be I didn't solder everything down correctly, and I also didn't have a cartridge in. Let's try that. Okay. So we're completely missing that center portion. Okay, I would imagine it has something to do with me missing a few connections when I was soldering the screen on. So I'm just going to go back over and hit it again off camera and see how it looks. Okay, so an update. I went over that screen ribbon cable again with the soldering iron, turned this on and verified that the screen was fully working, but after a few seconds the Game Gear shut itself off. I was able to turn it on for a second or two after that, but now it's not turning on at all. So yeah, quite the development here. So this was a fully working Game Gear for a very short period of time, but now it's completely dead. So gotta figure out what happened. Very, very weird. Well, I think I found out why it's not turning on anymore. There's a hole blown through that transistor there on the power board. So it doesn't look like it was something with the motherboard. That may have been due to me. When I was resoldering that ribbon cable, I tested it out once and apparently I had a few pins bridged on it. That might have something to do with why that went. Not 100% sure. Kind of weird, but I might have some of these around. I'll have to take a look and see if I do. If I do, I'll just swap it out. If not, I'll just throw on another power board and get back to it. So I did have a Game Gear power board in my parts bin, and it did have that same component on there. So I went ahead and swapped it out. And yeah, let's give this a test now. See how we're looking. I already got a game in. Okay, it looks like we're in business. Ooh, that was quite the adventure to get one Game Gear working out of the two I had here. The speaker sounds a little off. Might have to swap that out. Not a big deal. Yeah, because of all the problems with this, I'm going to have this just running for a while. Make sure it doesn't act up again. And if it doesn't, I'll end the video here. If it does act up again, the video is going to be a little longer.